Right.
I haven't been able to get back
Same
into
here,
swing of
yeah.
it.
I took about 3 months off as well.
I really need to get back into it. But,
Yeah.
So yeah, did any belief come to mind?
Yeah. Let's see. So the belief that came to mind when you asked me, what belief I wanted to talk about, my belief is that that Jesus Christ is the answer to any problem that you're struggling with in your life, meaning of life. Jesus Christ is the answer, and specifically, if you want to know about him, you got to go to the Catholic Church to find out the full truth, because the Catholic Church has the full truth that's been passed down through Scripture and tradition for about 2,020 years. It's to many people listening to this, that might seem like, by golly, I've heard this before. I've heard a lot of nasty people tell me that Jesus was the answer, and I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to hear it. If that's the case, I am sorry for that. I apologize.
No, they've heard everything.
Yeah, so that's the belief that I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that, and I'm just want to rephrase it. Jesus Christ is the answer to all of your problems.
Right.
And the way that you come to know Jesus Christ is through the Catholic Church?
Correct. Okay. Yeah, that's how I would phrase it.
How, on a scale of 0 to 100, how confident are you in this belief?
I am 10. 10 on a human level. I'm no angel.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 10?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
10 being the highest. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I would say, as sure as I am about anything, I can't give you, like scientific proof, like you can run the experiment and by golly, you'll find out the truth. But, there are many things that we believe with absolute certainty that we couldn't prove.
Right.
Australia exists.
That's true.
That sort of thing.
I guess unless you go there, right?
Unless you go there, but you got to trust the pilot that he actually flew you there, and not to some other dangerous place. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a 10 out of 10 on that belief scale. What is your best reason or your main reasons for being so high on the?
Well, so there are two things.
You said there's no scientific way.
Right.
What is the way that you get there?
So honestly, in my adult life, when I really embraced this belief for myself,
right.
So I was raised in this belief, but but when I really took it on myself, what I noticed was the people who told me that this was true and who believed this themselves, I just saw the most goodness from these people. The fact that they cared about me as a person for no reason other than just sheer goodness itself. And I saw the joy in their eyes and the peace and the calm. And I would say intuitively, as an emotional thing, I would say that was maybe the clincher in my heart.
Okay.
As far as the intellectual ideas go, there's plenty that you can read. Any questions you might have about, like, but science, but the awful things that Christians have done. There are plenty of arguments and plenty of books telling you why it's plausible. But I would say emotionally, that would be why and intuitively, that's why I'm thinking this has got to be the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main, like, if you made a pie chart for your reasons for believing, you'd say most of it would be like intuition and maybe like emotional appeal.
Well, actually, let me phrase it this way.
Okay.
I studied philosophy and theology at a Catholic college when I was in college, and the arguments all made sense to me. It all seemed good. And then at a certain time, though, we all have our own difficulties in life, our own sufferings,
right.
and you encounter those, and you just kind of all intuitively ask yourself, has everything I've been told just been a lie, and maybe I don't see the error, but it just is an error and I'm being silly? And maybe that's where the intuitive side came in. So I've always found the arguments for the existence of God, for the truth of the Catholic Church, I've found those convincing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the final emotional appeal is the one that takes you over the edge.
Okay, so you actually went to a school and you studied theology and philosophy.
Correct.
You said that the stuff you would learn wasn't always like sometimes you would. Were you saying that sometimes you would see an error in it?
No,
you never found errors in it?
Thank you for asking me to clarify. No, I never found errors in it.
Okay.
I never found errors in it. I guess.
So I want to just go back to that pie chart. I know it's a really abstract, weird way to think about it, but if you could, like, there's intelligent arguments like, the teleological argument, or like the complexity of the world, being an implication that a God designed it.
Right.
There's like a whole bunch of stuff about where did we come from.
Right.
Is it those intellectual arguments that bring you more confidence, or is it more so just your intuition? Like,
let's see. Right now I would say, here's the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It actually seems to me, by golly, for the truth, that Jesus Christ rose from the dead after having been executed and murdered. That he actually walked out of the tomb having raised himself from the grave. From what I can tell, that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone could prove to me conclusively that didn't, I'd give the whole thing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think that happened?
So why do I think that happened? Why do I think that happened? Well, so I've heard good historical arguments in favor of it.
Mm.
That the books of the Bible, even if you don't take them as divinely inspired, just as human history, the way you might read about Alexander the Great or someone like that, that they're
accurate historical
they're
documents.
accurate historical documents.
Okay.
Then now, of course, if you don't just take as an assumption that no one could ever, that miracles are impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So if a lot of people today just assume miracles can't happen. Why?
Right.
Because I've never seen a miracle, so miracles can't happen. Therefore, I read the Bible and I say, this is stupid. Obviously, this is false because it has miracles in it.
Mm.
So if you stay agnostic, I don't say you have to believe in miracles to begin with, but if you don't assume that miracles don't happen, then the Bible seems to be very accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you were saying is, if it was proven wrong to you that that Jesus wasn't resurrected,
right,
and that would be proven wrong to you by way of maybe illegitimacy. How do you say that word?
Illegitimacy
of the Bible, of the scripture. If
well,
you found out, if you, for whatever reason, if there were more historical documents brought forward that somehow, or if a divine intervention happened and God showed you this isn't actually what happened, or
right. Well, let me think of it.
If something happened to show you that wasn't the case, your confidence would be lowered. Was what you're saying?
Well, let's put it this way. I on this question, I'm going to take my cue from St. Paul in the Bible itself, who said, if Jesus Christ didn't rise from the dead, then our hope is in vain. Then we're the most foolish of men. So St. Paul himself in the Bible said, look, if this didn't happen, then everything we believe is garbage. I would just throw out the whole thing, because who cares about it?
So you wouldn't just go from like a 10 confidence to an 8. You'd go from like a 10 to a 1 or something? Yeah,
let's see. I would say, if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, then he's just a carpenter who lived 2,020 years ago. And it seems to me that he did claim, and again, just taking the Bible as, and again, I should say the Gospels as accurate historical, not all books of the Bible,
right? But
the Bible are, they're meant. Some of them are meant as allegories or fables. But the Gospels, in them, Jesus claims to be God. He claims to be God. And he claims that he promises he's going to rise himself from the dead.
Okay.
If that then turns out he didn't do that, that he just was a guy who said some crazy things and then was murdered by the Romans and then just went away, I would say, well, who cares about him? I don't care about him.
Okay.
You know?
Wow.
But then when he speaks as someone with authority and then backs it up by rising himself from the dead, then I say, you know what? I don't want to die for all eternity. I want to rise from the dead. This guy says he's going to give me the path to do it. Dude, I'm in because I haven't heard a better offer yet.
Okay, so it seems like there's a lot of reasons that get you to where you're at. Like,
right.
Intuition, there's the desire to be reborn, there's like the Bible and its legitimacy as a historical document. So it's a lot of things. And I guess what I'm doing here with this kind of a thing is like I'm trying really hard. I'm trying to like figure out what exactly your belief is compromised of, because like there's a lot of beliefs that I have even that I believe it, but I don't quite know why as accurately as I could. So,
right.
So I'm wondering, like, if it weren't for the Bible, if we could take that out of the equation, if the Gospels were somehow proven to be inaccurate, where would your confidence go? From a 10 to where?
All right, so let's see. 10 to, like I said, to a 0.
To a 0.
Yeah,
okay.
to a 0.
So the intuition, the emotional side of it, all that sort of stuff, it doesn't really play a part in your confidence in your claim.
Not my final confidence. No.
Okay.
Yeah, there are different things that lead me to believe there are different things that lead me to believe the arguments for Christ's resurrection from the dead. Yeah.
Okay.
I suppose. Well, suppose if he didn't rise from the dead, I don't know, man. Would I go become a Muslim? That might be it. Honestly, I'm like not even joking. If it weren't for if Catholicism were proven wrong, I might join Islam. Yeah, Islam or Judaism. One of the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not atheism though.
No, not atheism. Not atheism. I think if you're not starting from a standpoint of antagonism with the world, antagonism with what you see, if you're starting just from looking at nature, not having pre-existing ideas in your mind, you're going to think, as most civilizations, primitive civilizations throughout history have, you're going to think that there's some mysterious, ineffable force, going about the world.
Yeah.
So it would have to be some kind of deity. I would say outside of Christianity, Judaism and Islam make the most sense. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks, man. I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
So what would it take for you to lose your confidence in the Bible's accuracy? Like, what would have to be presented to you for you to think that Jesus didn't resurrect, that the Gospels aren't true, say?
Let's see.
If anything.
Yeah, so, if you could produce Christ's body and prove that this was Christ.
Okay.
Whatever kind of remains we have at the time, that so that's the number one. You do that. You do that, and the whole thing goes out the window. Have to think.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That would be a big one. Yeah. I'm trying to think of how people would show you that
falsify it,
or show you that historical documents are false. So. Yeah, something there, and conclusively prove that the Gospels aren't accurate. Plenty of people have tried. Plenty of people claim they've done that. Don't think anyone ever has, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying I'm really interested. I kind of want to end it on this idea that you brought up of like people, even in primitive societies, having a preconception of like a mystical force when they look at nature or something.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that? What and you said that in response to like you couldn't see yourself as becoming an atheist at any point.
Yeah.
Why? And what did you mean about like people seeing some sort of mystical force naturally or something?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that this argument is fully airtight, but one of my friends was saying the argument, if you find a Rolex on a beach, you don't think that the Rolex just happened to get there.
Mm-hmm.
That the beach made a Rolex. You think someone left a Rolex.
Right.
So I'm trying to think. I mean, why? I think again, if you're not too caught up in modern philosophy and you're not making the wrong assumptions that a lot of modern philosophy does, you're going to look and you see these trees around us and you see that they seem to act for a purpose. There's like there's a reason for them to exist. And everything is like interlocking mechanism. The rabbit runs and eats the grass, and then the wolf eats the rabbit, and then the wolf dies and the grass eats the wolf.
Circle of life.
The circle of life. There seems to be meaning in what we see around us. And then again, modern science, they keep claiming they cannot explain where the world came from without God. Because they a lot of times when they mock the idea that you need God to have a reason that the world came to be, they always they have the wrong idea of God. What they with Dawkins and his ilk, they keep saying, oh yeah, what the deists think that there's a big Santa Claus in the sky. That's not what we think. That's not what we think. And anyone who looked at anyone who actually looked at what the Catholic Church thinks God is would know that's not what we mean by God.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring it back to just that idea. It sounded like what you were saying was, with the watchmaker analogy, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. There's so much complexity that it implies a creator. So what you're saying is that when you see complex systems like the circle of life that interlock and work with each other in such a way, you see evidence perhaps of a creator.
Yeah, I do, and what has been called the democracy of the dead does as well.
Never
and by
heard that.
We mean most people who ever lived.
Right.
It's only a certain group of people, and it's mostly, we're all concerned about, or people are concerned about this these days. It's mostly a bunch of Western, mostly white men who looked at the world and decided that they could explain it through sheer chance, and that they had a better explanation. But most people, through most of history, through all over the globe, all colors, creeds, and everything, have looked at the world and said, there's got to be some meaning.
Right. So what you do see as evidence for a higher power, some sort of, at least, and you would say that even, all these dead people and civilizations and most people around the world see some sort of mystery or spirit behind it, if not the Catholic God or the Christian God.
Right.
But so if I guess my question is, like, if complexity and order is evidence for such a God, when you see things that are chaotic, does that reel you back at all from believing in a God? It's like when you see just, I guess natural disasters that wipe entire places out, or like even the things in space, like all the other planets in our solar system that aren't suitable for life, or in the universe even. Like, does this lower your confidence at all? Right.
So the manifest chaos we see, in our own lives and the lives of people around us. Yeah. Does this make me less confident in?
And even just like in the physical universe.
In the physical universe.
Because the world is, I would agree, like it's almost miraculous how just suitable it is for human life. Of course, it's very hard in certain environments for people to live, and we have to like really work our way into feeling comfortable here on this earth. But it's just amazing that we are alive at all. But what about the rest of the universe? What about all the chaos there? Does that make you waver in any way?
So no is the answer to that question, and the chaos. So emotionally speaking, when one experiences chaos in one's own life, that can emotionally, cause one to question. And again, to quote from the Bible, the guy we say was literally God was on the cross yelling, my God, why have you forsaken me? Like, where the F are you? Because I'm getting nailed to a tree, and you're supposed to be the one who stops this. So,
Right.
In our tradition, in our Catholic tradition, we have this sense of the fallen world, of a world that's not the way it's supposed
Which
to be.
is this world.
This world,
Yeah.
right. That there's fallen nature. So I would say the reason that the chaos that we do see, and I think the chaos caused by human beings is the most troubling, more so than the cosmos is wheeling without apparent purpose, is when you see when you look into the eyes of someone who's doing something evil because they like it and because they kind of like to see you squirm.
Mm-hmm.
That I think would be the most troubling thing. But that doesn't shake my faith, because by what standard are you judging that to be chaos? By chaos, you are thinking of chaos compared to the order that you see, the order that is there.
Yeah.
And so because the cosmos doesn't act the way you see all of this order happening, you therefore judge it to be chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's no order, there's no such thing as chaos.
Yeah. And I mean, even chaos, and this is, a lot of people will say this, and I kind of think I see what they're saying, is like, even chaos is just a really complex ordered system. So like, if we see 1 2 1 2 1 2, we see an order to that, but there could be a pattern that only starts 1,000 numbers into a system.
Right.
So you could 1 5 6 9 11 12 a million, a billion, and then 1,000 numbers in, that's when it starts repeating.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Things that look chaotic can actually be ordered. And you brought up an interesting point that chaos only appears to be chaos in reference to the order that you already see.
Right.
So I'm wondering, what is the order that makes you that gives you evidence, or that gives everybody evidence for believing in such a God? Like, is there some sort of is there some amount of complexity or order or beauty that is indicative of a God? Like,
right.
What if the trees weren't here? Would you still believe in God? What
Right.
if people weren't here?
Maybe if I could rephrase the question as, what is the limit? What's the number? If one were to talk of it this way, what's the on the scale? Where's the point that you get past that point and we live in a more ordered than not? Or for me at least.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
For me. So, let's see. So a preliminary point is, I think it's important when you're seeking knowledge or wisdom to not try to grasp knowledge or wisdom, with both hands and hold it tightly to yourself. I'm speaking metaphorically here. So like it's a captive that you have to capture. Right. So instead you want to think of knowledge and wisdom as a friend that you become acquainted with. So,
so it's changing,
not changing, just that certainty should not be certainty. Mathematical certainty is not possible in all areas of knowledge.
Okay.
So there are certain things you can know with mathematic precision, things that can be measured. There are other things, like how much your spouse loves you, how much your parents love you. You can't measure that. You have a sense of it.
Right.
But if someone said, how can you be sure that your mother loves you and isn't just using you to satisfy her own ends, you'd say, look, I know that she isn't, but I can't prove it to you.
Right.
So I think it is a more traditional, throughout human history, throughout all the world, that's a more natural way to look at knowledge. So the point being, all of this is a preliminary to, I can't set, like a mathematical amount of
It's more
order.
intuition. It's a sense.
Yeah, it's a sense, and so they're just little glimmers and little beams of it that, this little thing here and this little thing seeming to have meaning, and that thing over there seeming to have meaning, and and now, and again, I don't mean to make light of the problem of chaos. Again, in our tradition, that we share with our older Jewish brothers, is we have the book of Job, where you have someone who has a good life who is struck down by chaos, and he's wondering, how can this make sense with all the good things that I believe?
Right.
And there where God himself says to him, when he asks, God says, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Like, you say that you see chaos. You don't know that you see chaos. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Now that can seem cold and harsh, but that is what God says to him.
Yeah. You don't know what chaos is. Like, okay, so I mean, you're talking about, so your sense of what you would describe as ordered or complex. What your claim is essentially that you can't put a mathematical limit or indicator on when a system becomes complex. It's more of a sense that you have, and I'm wondering, like, just hypothetically, if you were born and on just a flat plane, just a dirt flat plane, and there was maybe only a couple other people there, would no trees, no rain, no electricity, you don't get hungry, you don't get whatever, in this kind of really simplistic world where let's say that even after you all die there's nothing anymore, or you have no reason to think that there's no reproduction. Like, I'm just trying to create this hypothetical world where there seems to be a lot less order or complexity, or even the beauty that we see now with all these trees and green grass and mountains and all this kind of stuff. If that wasn't there, try to put yourself in that mindset. Would you imply a creator? Would you look around at what's around you and say there has to be something that made this?
Well, it's interesting. So, again, trying to answer the question of, like trying to think of a hypothetical situation that might cause one to doubt the existence of a creator. Since again, from my concept of God, just the existence of things, just sheerly the fact that I look out and I see something rather than nothing, is an indicator of the divine. So it's hard in my mind to abstract far enough that I would look out and see, nope, I don't think there's any God.
Yeah, well, that's really hard because what is nothing?
Right.
How can you look out and see nothing?
Right.
No one knows what that is. It's not blackness. That is
Right.
something.
Right.
It's like it's impossible for us to even conceive of an experience that is absent of something.
Right. And then absent of us, because, we're something.
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing the nothing, I mean, so generally you think of nothing as an abstract, it's not something. So like the something is what what you can know, because you see a microphone and a tablecloth and some recording equipment. But so nothing is what's not that.
It's just the absence of something.
Right. The absence of being. It's not a positive thing in and of itself.
Right.
It's just the absence of being.
But neither of us, and I would argue no one in this world who has ever lived on this world, has ever looked out and seen what a physical nothing.
Right.
They've seen,
Right.
People thousands of years ago, of course, have seen a complete absence of recording equipment.
Right.
But no one's ever experienced just an absence of anything,
Right.
True nothing that I
Right.
think we were talking about.
Right.
And so I'll try to end it here. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, my pleasure.
do you have a definition of order? Do you have a definition of chaos?
A definition of order. So chaos is easy because chaos I would define as a lack of order, so an absence of order. Order would be a relation. So like order, you think of two separate things that you can think of that have a relation together in a way. I'm trying to think of this specific way. Generally, this isn't precise, but two things have a relationship to each other where they seem to benefit each other, or contribute to the other, or they seem to complete each other. That's maybe one way to think of it. So the relation is the kind of thing it is,
right?
And it's the kind of relation where they either complete
benefit
the other, benefit the other. That they seem somehow, the two of them together seem to form another something. Maybe that's the way to put it, that there seems to be some kind of unity between two things that are separate. So in this example, we could use your recording equipment, the actual recorder that's doing the recording, and the cable that connects the microphone to that recording equipment. And I say that they're ordered because there's an order there, because together they create something kind of more whole, which is a recording system, if we add the mic to that. So somehow together we can say that they're still one, even though they are three separate things.
Okay, so maybe you might say that that this system, this unplugged microphone to this recording device, this portable interface, is less ordered than this system where they're connected.
Yeah, or I would say, in this example, you unplug that, there's still the potential for them to, they're more actualized. They're more doing what they're supposed to do by being plugged in and recording than they are if they're just lying around.
Right.
So, but you can still see the order that one of those is ordered to the other. It's just not actualized. It's a potential order at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, or something like that. That's not terribly precise, but something like that.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I could think about this for a while. Thanks for stopping by. What's your name again?
John.
John.
Yeah.
Thought so.
What's your name?
Quinn.
Quinn.
I would shake your hand, but
yes, of course,
COVID.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. I appreciate it. And I think what you're doing is a good idea, because if you try to follow truth, try to follow truth and not lies, and you're going to go well. Yeah, you'll do well.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
No, I like your commitment to honesty and being open-minded.
Thank
and all
you.
That kind of stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. What to just turn it around? Is there some central truth that you hold? You think?
I think so you described like a difference between your intuition and maybe what you come to on a basis of like study or something like that. For me, my intuition is definitely skepticism. It's like uncertainty. It's just trying to be more and more comfortable with uncertainty. I was raised sort of like Christian, but I kept experiencing a lot of like the word is cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Whenever I would encounter things about my faith that was kind of that didn't just resonate with the real world.
Right.
In some sense.
You were told something was true, and then you looked out and it seemed like you saw that it wasn't.
Yeah, and that was really painful for me.
Right.
So what I'm more getting into is just having an open mind, but putting all claims against facts and evidence, and reason, which I hold to be the main methods to getting to truth.
Right. Yes, you do not want to believe anything that's not true.
Yeah, and so far that's left me at just like a relative atheism, I guess you might say.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
But I'm still on the quest,
Yeah.
So I could totally be wrong.
If you don't mind my asking, did you grow up as a generic Christian? Did you grow what denomination were you?
I had one side of my family that was actually, I guess, secular.
Okay.
They were really kind of they didn't even bring religion or spirituality into the equation.
Okay.
And they were really spread out, not like a cohesive
Yeah.
family. But the other side was very active and interactive together. They went to a Baptist church. My grandma would take me there.
Okay.
You know, a lot of Sundays for a consistent amount of time. And there was only a really kind of a short period in my life where I fully believed in God, and like I read the Bible and I prayed.
Yeah.
And it was maybe a year and some change.
Yeah.
When I was really emotionally struck with something that a pastor told me, and that was me for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, you know, in my reading of the Bible, in my just contemplation of an omnipotent, omniscient, all-loving creator, there were just certain logical inconsistencies that I came to. Like the problem of evil and all this other kind of stuff that made me doubt.
Yeah. I could see that. I would just make a strong recommendation for checking out the intellectual tradition of the Catholic Church, because we have a long tradition of people answering these exact questions of, the existence of evil being high up on there. You know, it's something that we've struggled with. So,
Yeah. I mean, one person I'm really into is William Lane Craig. I know he's not quite a Catholic.
Right. Yes, I'm familiar
like
with him. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's shaken my uncertainty in his God. Like he's sort of like, I don't know, like his ontological arguments and things like this are really, really convincing, and it's been something that I've wrestled with. And so I'm trying to keep throwing myself into that. And again, I'm not 100% either way.
Definitely,
necessarily.
Yeah, maybe. So one final thing I was thinking, in the ancient world and maybe before the Enlightenment, today people are afraid of believing something that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that is the main preoccupation. It's why sometimes a lot of people start with skepticism and think that's a more inherently, that one should start being skeptical of everything and then just only believe the stuff that you know for absolute certain. Back in before the Enlightenment, many people were afraid of of losing touch with reality because they were not believing some things that they could kind of see, but couldn't know themselves, and so they were afraid of losing touch with reality and of not believing things that were true.
Right.
That I just thought that was interesting. I heard that recently.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Word on Fire podcast at all?
Yeah, I have. I have heard of it. I've never listened.
Okay, cool. It's very good. It's very good, and a lot of it is very much aimed at people who are not, who aren't necessarily Catholic, and explaining like a lot of these kind of questions. Very charming. The bishop who does it is very charming. His name's Bishop Barron. And since you are doing this sort of thing, you probably would like that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm always, in fact, I've become more into listening to that sort of stuff and speaking more. I hate the feeling of being in like an echo chamber,
Yes.
The atheist community kind of like, it repulses me because it's just kind of, it seems like we're all just circle jerking.
Right.
I don't like that feeling. So
Right.
I do like to get as many opinions and as an eclectic variety of perspectives as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good idea, man. I think you're on the right path. Because again, no one should attest to and believe things that they see are false.
Mm-hmm.
The Catholic Church will never ask anyone to do that. There are certain things that we can't fully grasp that we believe, but nothing that we see as false and say I believe it anyway. So
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was a lot to think about. There,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
Sure.
Well, and thank you for, I love to talk, so thank you for listening to me and making me feel so sophisticated. But yeah, excellent,
Yeah.
man.